You're at a party, or a work event, or some social gathering where you're supposed to be social. You're standing in a corner, holding a drink with a death grip, watching groups of people laugh and talk with an ease that seems like a superpower. You see an opening, a brief pause in a conversation. This is your chance. You take a step forward, ready to say something, anything, but your mind goes completely blank. The moment passes, the circle closes, and you retreat back to the safety of your phone, scrolling through a feed you don't care about, just to look busy. You get home later and the frustration hits. You've read the articles. You've watched the videos on how to be more charismatic. You've tried the tips. You know you're supposed to ask open-ended questions, make eye contact, and find common ground. So you try. You go out there and you perform the steps. You ask someone what they do. They tell you, and then silence. An awkward, deafening silence while your brain frantically searches for the next line in the script. It feels forced. It feels fake. It feels like you're an actor who forgot his lines. And after trying and failing like this enough times, you start to tell yourself a story. You start to believe a myth. The myth is that social skill is a personality trait. It's something you're either born with or you're not. You look at those naturals, the people who can talk to anyone, and you think they have some magical, innate charisma that you just don't possess. You tell yourself, I'm just an introvert, or I'm just not a people person. You diagnose yourself with a permanent condition, and you stop trying to cure it. You believe the problem is who you are. You also believe that being good with people means you have to be the star of the show. You think you need to have a collection of amazing stories, a quick wit, and a magnetic personality. You think your job in a conversation is to be impressive, to be funny, to be interesting. So you spend all your mental energy in a conversation focused on yourself. What should I say next? Was that a dumb thing to say? Do they think I'm weird? How can I impress them? Your mind is a frantic storm of self-analysis. But what if I told you that this entire approach is completely backward? What if I told you that the very thing you think is the solution, trying to be interesting, is actually the problem? The reason your social skills aren't improving is because you're playing the wrong game. You've been spending all your energy trying to be interesting, when you should have been trying to be interested. That is the paradigm shift. Social skill is not a performance you put on. It is an act of genuine curiosity you direct outwards. The reason you feel so anxious and awkward is that you're stuck in your own head. The secret to connecting with others is to get out of your own head and get into theirs. Think of it like being a detective versus being an actor. An actor walks onto a stage with a script. They're worried about their lines, their delivery, their costume, how the audience is perceiving them. The entire experience is a performance centered on themselves. A detective, on the other hand, shows up to a crime scene with no script. Their only job is to be curious. They don't talk, they ask. They don't perform, they observe. They listen intently to the answers, looking for clues, trying to understand the world from another person's perspective. Now, who would you rather talk to for an hour? The actor who is reciting lines and constantly checking their own reflection? Or the detective who is genuinely, deeply trying to figure you out? The most charismatic people in the world are the ones who make you feel like you are the most interesting person in the world. They do this not by talking about themselves, but by being fascinated by you. This is a skill. It's a muscle you can build. And it starts by fixing the 3 things that are keeping you stuck in actor mode. First, you need to kill your inner narrator. That's the voice in your head that's giving a play-by-play commentary of your own social performance. Did that sound stupid? Your hands are being weird. They're probably bored. Quick, think of something smart to say. This inner narrator is your worst enemy. It keeps your focus on yourself and prevents you from ever being present in the conversation. So how do you shut it up? You need to starve it of attention. The next time you're talking to someone, I want you to try a simple mindfulness trick. Instead of listening to your own thoughts, I want you to focus all of your available mental energy on one tiny, external detail of the other person. Focus on their eye color. Focus on the sound of their voice. Focus on the pattern of their shirt. It sounds weird, but by forcing your brain to focus on an external sensory detail, you are actively pulling your attention out of your own anxious thoughts. You can't be fully present with someone else while you're simultaneously critiquing your own performance. You have to choose one. Choose to be present. Second, you need to become an interest detective. Your new mission in any conversation is not to impress, but to discover. Instead of trying to think of clever things to say, your only job is to find something genuinely interesting about the person you're talking to. This completely changes the dynamic. You're no longer under pressure to perform. You're on a mission to explore. This means you stop asking boring, dead-end questions like, "So, what do you do?" and then panicking when they answer. Instead, you use detective-style follow-up questions that show you're actually listening. If they say they're an accountant, don't just nod and say, "Cool." Ask a discovery question. What's the most surprising thing about being an accountant that most people wouldn't know? Or, what's a common misconception people have about your job? You're not just collecting facts. You're looking for their perspective, their stories, their unique view of the world. Good questions are the skeleton key that unlocks other people. When you become genuinely curious about someone, you will never run out of things to talk about. And third, you need to practice generous listening. Most of us don't actually listen in conversations. We just wait for our turn to talk. We're listening for a keyword that we can use to launch into our own story. That's not listening. That's conversational reloading. Generous listening means your primary goal is to make the other person feel understood. The most powerful technique for this is simple: the rephrase and validate method. After someone shares something with you, instead of immediately jumping in with your own experience, take a second and reflect back what you heard. Something as simple as, "So what you're saying is, the most stressful part of your job is managing everyone's expectations." That sounds really tough. Two magical things happen when you do this. First, the other person feels a profound sense of being heard, which is one of the rarest and most wonderful feelings in the world. It instantly builds a connection. Second, it buys your brain a few extra seconds to think of a thoughtful response instead of just blurting out the first thing that comes to mind. It makes you a better listener and a better speaker at the same time. So, let's put it all together. The reason your social skills aren't improving is that you've been trying to be an actor when you should have been a detective. You've been focused inward when you should have been focused outward. Stop trying to be interesting. Start being interested. Kill your inner narrator by focusing on the present moment. Become an interest detective by asking questions that uncover stories, not just facts. And practice generous listening by making the other person feel truly heard. Social skill isn't about having a dazzling personality that you put on like a costume. It's about having a genuine curiosity that you direct toward other people. It's not about adding a layer of charisma on top of who you are. It's about removing the layers of anxiety and self-consciousness so that who you are can finally connect with someone else. Stop trying to be the spotlight. Be the person who shines the spotlight on others. You'll be amazed at how much they enjoy being in the light, and how much they'll want to be around the person who put them there.